This is Aussie Woodshed. My name's Luke, and in today's video we're going to be having a look at woodworking finishes. Hope you enjoy. So I wasn't originally going to include a video on finishes in this, but I decided it kind of fits in nicely after going through all the tools to have some look at some finishes, and some of these finishes might be finishes that you actually take along with you within the Traveler's Toolkit. And so I thought, let's just go through some of the basics that I use, and I don't use a lot of woodworking finishes, so if you do use stuff that I don't use, do go ahead and sound off in the comments. So first of all, we're going to jump in and start with oil finishes. So when it comes to oil finishes, I actually don't use much. This is store-bought boiled linseed oil. This is homemade boiled linseed oil. For years, I just used raw linseed oil because I didn't like the chemical dryers that were in the store-bought boiled linseed oil. But if you are interested in boiling your own linseed oil, do check out the video down below where I boil my own, because I found that really it dries just as fast, if not faster, than the store-bought boiled linseed oil. So it's a good idea to just boil your own in small batches like I did. So linseed oil or boiled linseed oil is a polymerizing oil. The other one I use here is tung oil. This is genuine, just pressed natural, all natural tung oil. And this is another polymerizing oil. This one does stink a little bit more than the linseed oil, so that's just something to bear in mind. So oil finishes, I use them on all sorts of things. A polymerizing oil like this, once it's fully dried, it's not going to be the most durable, but it is good for soaking in, making your grain pop, and just hydrating your timber. It's a very quick and easy finish to apply. You just got to worry about your rags spontaneously combusting with these, so you don't want to scrunch them up and just throw them in the bottom of a bin. You want to just lay them out flat somewhere, hang them up until they're dry, and then you can dump them. That's the only thing you really have to worry about with this. To be honest, it's a very fast, it's a very quick, it's a very easy finish to apply, just straight oil, and you can just let the timber soak up as much as it wants. So it is a very, as I said, nourishing sort of finish in that respect. So now I'm going to move into what I call wax-based finishes. So we've got straight beeswax, we have mixtures of beeswax. This one happens to be equal parts of boiled linseed oil, beeswax, and gum turpentine or pure turpentine. And this one here, I'm not sure exactly what's in it, but it's a hard wax oil, meaning that it's using some sort of carnauba wax in there, likely as an agent, but we'll get to that when we have a look at that. That's more like an oil than it is a wax. So with the beeswax, you can buy it in all sorts of things, and this is the way I buy it if I'm going to be putting it into my own homemade solution like this one here. Link below if you're interested in that one. The great thing about beeswax is that you can actually use it on its own, but you do need to heat it up to actually apply it, and it does leave quite a heavy waxy sort of finish that's a little bit tacky to the surface if you use just this by itself. Now if you mix beeswax with a bit of what they call Gulf wax, or just a petroleum based wax that you'll see like the white candles are made of, that does make it a little easier to apply because it's a petroleum-based product. It does sort of thin out the beeswax a little bit, but I like to keep it all natural, so beeswax is what I use. So you can heat beeswax and melt it onto the surface and apply it that way, and then buff off all the excess. But you do require heat from something like a heat gun to really do that. Then we come into the paste wax styles. This one here happens to be a penetrating paste wax. You can do other ones, and I'll leave both the links to the videos to this one and also the original paste wax that I've made. And so you can just use linseed oil and beeswax, or you can use linseed oil, beeswax, and gum turpentine. The advantage of the turpentine in there means that it's a penetrating agent, so it does suck it into the timber and makes it more of a subsurface finish than just a straight surface finish. But there again, you might not want that gum turpentine in there if you're trying to stay all natural, because although it is a natural product, it's still a hydrocarbon and is not what I would consider food safe. So you do have good applications when you have it like this because of that penetrating agent. It's also a cleaning agent, and so it opens up a whole world of things that you can actually do with a linseed oil and a paste wax in this sort of process. Then we move into what's known as a hard wax oil. Now a hard wax oil, and I don't know what this is, it doesn't tell me. It's liquid like oil, but it has an addition of at least some hard wax within that oil. Now it can't be a whole lot. It's likely something like a carnauba wax, because that's considered a hard wax. Beeswax is considered more of a soft wax, and also coming back to this, you can add these and sort of make these give a slight more sheen and a little bit of a harder and more durable wax if you add a bit of carnauba wax to this as well, but you're not adding much. So that's the hard wax oil. These come in all sorts of brands and stuff. This one happens to be Interbuild. It's not even sold anymore. I picked it up from the local big buck store, Bunnings. This was just a little sample pot. 0 VOCs, so that's great if you're looking for that. And a lot of these hard wax oils tend to be sort of all natural, no VOCs. And I know there's definitely a number of different brands out there, but this is the only one I've used. So if some of you have used other ones, do sound off down below. Then we move into film finishes, and there's really these sort of film finishes that I use. Wipe-on polyurethane. This one here, which is a marine grade gloss, which is like a polyurethane. It's an exterior grade, just varnish stuff, designed for boats. This is great for signs that you want to be quite durable in harsh environments. That's what I've used this one for, and is why I've got it. I also used it to actually seal my floor here in the shed, so it's actually pretty durable, but in the gloss, that's what you really want. There does come a satin one, and that's just not as durable. Then you have your wipe-on poly. I don't use this a lot. I've had this one for about 3 years and still got half a can of it here. I used it when I was doing a few chairs. You probably saw that video a while back where I refinished a chair and then did the upholstery. That's what I use this for. It just came up much smoother and was just easy to apply for a chair, and it's just that little bit more durable. And then the film finish that I use primarily is shellac. So the way shellac comes is it comes in these little flakes. We break those down using alcohol, and we end up with our shellac finish here. Now, I've done an entire video on all the ratios and all that with shellac, so you will find that link down below. It's a very comprehensive video on shellac, which tells you everything you need to know, how to measure it out, and all your ratios and stuff. But this is the finish. It is very easy to apply. You don't need any sanding between the layers like you do with these two here. So the reason you don't have to sand between the coats of this is because it's alcohol based, and alcohol breaks it down. Once you've got one thick layer that's dried, you bring this on, and that alcohol will break the top surface of it and allow it to bond to the layer below it. The other thing that shellac is used for is what's known as French polish. That uses a rubber and a wipe, and you do really thin layers. I've not really ever done French polish, and so it's not something I can speak to, but if any of you would like me to sort of work out French polish and maybe do a little tutorial on it, do let me know down below, because I'm eager to actually give it a try. I've got some cloth and some wadding there for making what's known as a French polish rubber, so we can talk all about that as well if that's something you would like. So there you have it, folks. That's what I use for my finishes. For the most part, I'm going for the more natural oils, waxes, that sort of thing, and then shellac, which is all natural. And then I do have these other ones here, and they're only really to deal with more harsh wear and tear. And to be honest, I really don't use them as much as these other ones. This one here and my boiled linseed oil are my two most used. And to be honest, I'm happy with the finish I get from them most of the time. And then if you do want something that's a little more shiny, a little more protectant, I use shellac, particularly a 2-pound shellac, on nearly every one of my restored handles for my hand planes. It's the traditional finish used for it. Shellac is the traditional, the original, the first film finish. And shellac mixed with linseed oil and waxes and things, you can get all sorts of great turning finishes and friction polishes and all of that. So it's definitely a great finish to work with, but you can get a whole bunch of different colors. This is the traditional original amber, but I do have blonde and white shellac, and there's a whole bunch of different colors out there. The other great thing about the finishes that I use here, they're all quick, easy, portable. You can use them on site if you wanted to, as long as you've got the equipment to clean it up. And in some cases, you don't even need anything to clean these up, and that's why they work so well and why I like using them, and they become quite a portable finish in some respects. So if you'd like to see the Traveler's Toolkit that sort of spurred this video, although it wasn't originally going to be part of it, I thought it was good to include some of that in that video, and so you can find that video just here. Bye for now.